Right, I would like to welcome to another edition of Life with the Lionesses, a woman who started playing in the 1990s when she was 17 in the Castleford area for Redhill. Featherstone is in the blood there. Featherstone's there and around in the blood, although born in Wakefield. And was a lioness in 1996 and 1998, but also we think played some county games. So I'd like to welcome Jill Rankin, but for those that were playing at the time will know her as Jill Adams. Welcome, Jill.
Hello, nice to see you again.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So pleased to see you again and so lovely to catch up again. So tell us a bit about where you were born, how did you get into rugby league, how did you get playing?
Right, I was born in Wakefield, moved over to Castleford when I was about 7 or 8 years old. My dad was a massive rugby league fan. He was involved in Bala, which was the amateur side of it. And when I was 17, I was playing hockey and being a bit bored of it. My dad found an article in the local rag, the Pontefract in Castleford, just asking for girls and women to go up to Redhill Rugby League Club. So winter's night, in I think it'll be 1989, wandered up there with my dad, and there were a group of 6 or 7 lasses, and just loved it straight away. Enjoyed it and never looked back, really.
Wow. Because Redhill was phenomenal in its time, wasn't it, as a club?
Yeah, it was a well-established club for the men's game. And then obviously us women arrived, and it was much to amusement to the men to start with. But then I think we earned some respect from them, and they really supported us whilst we were there.
Oh, that's good. That's good because we've got letters of MP saying that women shouldn't be playing in the early 90s in Hull. So it was, you were all trailblazers, really, weren't you? And it was unusual for the men. So what was it like sort of playing from Redhill and things like that? Can you remember much about it?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, when we started, we went into the second division, and we were playing 9-a-side at that time because the game was still developing. And I just remember first year, I think we had our first game, we were a friendly against Guiseley, who just absolutely hammered us. But I think within a year or 2 years, we were up in the first league and never looked back, and got some good friendships and great team, great atmospheric club. And as coaches, I think we had some great coaches, Carl Speak and Steve Welford and others that were really good, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, really looked after you, didn't they?
Yeah.
And I always have memories of, because at the time I was not only refereeing, but I was playing for Fulham Women. So we used to travel up north, and then I played for Hull Vixens. We used to travel up north with Fulham Women, get absolutely hammered, and go all the way back to London. And I always remember Redhill, and I think I was saying this to Karen Burrows, that we played a game at the Boulevard. I don't know if you played in that Hull Vixens. And it was at the Boulevard, home of Hull FC. And I remember, and I don't know who it was, but someone ran through and I did my best rear tackle ever. And I thought I'd got everyone, and there was a cheer, and I thought they were cheering for me tackling, but it was the fact that whoever had done it offloaded the ball and you scored.
It's 10 out of 10 for effort. We were known for us socialising as well. We did like to enjoy it after the game as well, and I think we were well known for that as well. For when other clubs came, so
and that was the women's game, wasn't it? Really, hard fought on the pitch, but great social scene off the pitch, wasn't it? Yeah. Did you go to any of the Blackpool gigs?
Oh, you used to go to everyone. The annual presentation.
Yeah, Blackpool.
Yeah. I think the first one were in Morecambe.
Oh, it was. Yes,
yeah, which were a bit boring, so we decided to move it to Blackpool.
yeah, and all the teams just used to turn up, didn't they, and have the presentation evening.
It were a good weekend, that.
Yeah, a lot of friendships, wasn't there, and a lot of comradeship within teams.
Well, you got to know all the other teams, didn't you? So, you know, they were familiar faces. So by the end of the year, it was like just one big party.
Yeah, it was. It was really lovely. So lovely memories playing for your club. Can you remember sort of, I know we sort of had a chat offline around playing for your county.
My only memory was playing at St Helens. And I remember I'd been chosen to play at second rower, and I remember being second row and thinking, no, I was back, but I was a good tackler and I wanted a bit of speed, I think, in the middle of the park. And I remember my prop forwards grumbling at me because I wasn't pushing hard enough. And I'm thinking, I'm only 9.5 stone and I'm trying. So I think after that, they pushed me back out into the backs. And that's my only memory of St Helens, playing for Yorkshire. I remember playing at Leeds once, but I don't remember if that was a Yorkshire game or not, or whether it were a cup match.
Yeah, quite possibly Yorkshire, to be honest. Yeah. So can you remember getting selected for playing then?
I remember the
Great Britain.
trials. Yeah, I remember the trials specifically. I can't remember where it was, but I remember Gary Schofield being at the trials. It's kind of a bit of a coach and helping the selectors. I remember thinking, wow, because it was massive then with Gary Schofield, and being like, oh, I want to impress him. And then when I obviously informed, being absolutely over the moon that I managed to get into the team. So my family and everybody was chuffed that I'd got in. So yeah, good memory.
So can you remember much about the training then and what you had to do beforehand before you went on tour?
You were given a schedule. I remember going to Leeds Carnegie, and you obviously they tested your strength and your speed and your fitness and all that. And then you were given a like a training plan. And I seem to remember I used to travel to Featherstone, the gym at Featherstone, the local council, and I used to train there on my own. I used to go up there and train. But yeah, they were they were quite done quite professionally. You know, taken seriously, and you had to be at a good fitness level for you to be able to continue.
So how was it then juggling sort of training and then you started a career? You're starting a career in the police then as well, weren't you?
Yeah,
or looking to start a.
1996, I'd come out of university and I was just working at Burberry Sewing Factory, and it was very regimented, you know, Monday to Friday, finished early on a Friday, so I could do all the training I needed to. I was available for every match and weekend, so I was really able to get stuck in and do all the training. But then 98, I joined the police later on in 96, but then I was working shifts, extended duties, working weekends, and then trying to fit that around your training, that were difficult. So it was a little bit harder then when I was obviously working for the police, just because of the shift pattern and the nature of the job. I mean, you know, I'd used to play my club and then I'd be off going to work straight after quick shower, and then I were off to work.
Oh, it is. It is a hard thing, isn't it? Playing sport and doing it to a high level and managing everything else, isn't it? So can you remember being picked to go on tour then?
I can't really remember who called me or getting a call or anything like that. No, and that's awful, isn't it?
No. A lot remember letters. A lot remembers getting a letter through the post. Yeah.
No.
And we've got some in the files of Jackie used to write everyone a letter.
I have no recollection of that.
Yeah. So had you done much travelling before you went on tour?
No, we, as a family, as a child growing up, I always went to Wales in car. So my first time I got on a plane was to go to Australia.
Oh wow, that's a hell of a trip.
Karen Burroughs laughing at me because when obviously plane were reversing, I was saying, "Oh, I didn't know they reversed." And Karen said, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah, I didn't know." No, I was 23 then. I know people going on foreign holidays now, don't they? But
yeah, we didn't then so much though, did we?
No. So
No. So you went on tour. What was it like then, the Australian tour? What are your memories of it?
It were really good, mixed in with being really hard. I remember that I think it was like a 3 weeks period, but it was very intense. There was very little time for down your own time. And I think Jackie Sheldon recognised that when we went on the second tour, and she gave us a bit of breathing space in between matches, which I thought were really good. The first tour I found hard, and it was a bit overwhelming, and you've come from a small club where you were at strongest players, and then you're a mix of this really strong team. But it really good memories, sharing rooms with other girls from other teams and stuff like that, and you kind of got this bond whilst you were away. So it were enjoyable, but really hard. The first one, and then the second one, I think, are a bit more relaxed. And yeah, I didn't play in as many matches in the second one, but I think I was a lot more relaxed and I enjoyed it. It was a lot more painful because it were it were a harder tournament, but I enjoyed that one a lot more.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Grow as the team, and you can see it through history as it grows in its how it's doing things. Obviously Ian Harris was the first coach, wasn't it? But with Jackie as the
Yeah,
assistant, and how things evolved from
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, if
yeah,
it's never been done before, the first tour, so I think they'd learnt a lot of lessons from that,
yeah,
and I think Jackie took that away, and I think it were a better tour, the second one. Well, I enjoyed it more. It's personally,
yeah.
yeah,
So, having never been on a plane within 2 years, you've been to Australia and then New Zealand. How grand's that?
yeah. I know. I never look back. So went back to Australia. I've been back to Australia, and I've been all over now. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
fantastic. So what's your sort of memories of that? That 96 is one of the most historic tours sort of in the women's game, with it being the fact that you came back with the Ashes. So you beat
Yeah,
Australia. Well, in fact, you played 7 games and you won 6. You only lost 1 test match.
yeah,
So it's a pretty phenomenal achievement. The last team to ever beat Australia, male or female. So how does that, when you sort of won initially, how did that feel? And
yeah. And it was a lovely feeling. I didn't get to play in the last test, so I remember being really disappointed at the time. But now I look back and I think, well, I contributed for 5 of those games, and
absolutely.
it's yeah. And now I look back more with fondness than anything. And I didn't realise that they'd not beaten the Australians again.
No,
Um,
no, no, men or women in a 3 series test. No.
Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah,
was very close. I mean, the matches were very close, but you look back now and you think, wow, I was part of that, and it's something I'm really proud of.
yeah. And it is a phenomenal achievement. And actually, the whole, as you say, it's when you're on tour, it's each squad member plays the part, don't they? And it's so
Yeah,
valuable.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Even if because we used to the ones that weren't playing, you'd be taking out statistics, so you'd be down, so you're contributing in some way,
Yeah.
um, and everybody played some kind of part, which were a good feeling to be part of that.
Mm. Yeah, and it's not just about on the field, is it? It's everything else. On a tour like that, when it's 3, 4 weeks, 'cause I think New Zealand was 4 weeks, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's a long time from home, isn't it? So
yeah. Yeah, and I think there were people that got homesick. I think I had periods of being homesick, but then you think, wow, look at what we're doing and what we're achieving, and
yeah,
you put it behind you and get on with it.
yeah. So
It were,
did you see a change then from, so you said there was some change in when you went on tour, but between how you prepared for 98, was there a difference?
personally, I don't think the training was any different. I think you train just as hard, but for me, mentally, I think I was more in a better place mentally when I went to New Zealand. Um, Maybe because I was a bit more mature and I'd experienced Australia, so you're just a bit more mentally prepared for it. So yeah.
Yeah. And what was it like playing the Kiwis? What the first game,
Uh,
the first tackle?
well, I came back on crutches, so yeah, I played in the final test, and I think within half an hour I'd been dragged off with a ankle injury. I think we thought it was broken at first, but all the ligaments had gone. in one of my ankles. So they were just big and hard, and you've got strengths in your team, but they seem to have the speed, the strength, the size. So it would they were good. They were good, and but played against them, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you did the 96 and 98 tours, we say. So what do you think that was the most challenging part of playing for your country?
I think it's what I said earlier, regarding the coming up to the tour. I think it was fitting that training in, and with your full-time job, and trying to get your training in and your matches in, because when you'd be playing on a Sunday and trying to get your Great Britain stuff in on a Saturday. So it was full on. And then when you were on tour, it was well organised. So you could concentrate on your playing and you're getting fit and getting over your last match and getting to play again. So for me, it was more the build up to going than actually once you were on the tour, because you were all ready, you were as fit as you could be, and you were just prepared for it. So I think it was the run up to it more than anything that was the most challenging.
Yeah, when you look back, what do you see as sort of really fond memories or real positives about?
I think it's being with you. Like I went with quite a few of my teammates, and then I got to know some other girls quite well, because you'd be sharing rooms with them and all that. So that camaraderie, and you were part of a team. And then when we were winning matches, that was just such a great feeling when you're actually going over there and you were beating them in their territory. It was just it were a great feeling.
That's great. Who can you remember who you shared with on the tours?
I know some Dudley Hill girls I shared with, because one of the most frightening things at all was Chantel Patrick's hair on a morning. And she can't deny it, because I've got photographic evidence of her hair on a morning. You'd wake up and that most frightening thing I'd come across, even more than Kiwis.
Love it.
But obviously I bumped a lot in with me teammates, Alan Burrows and Sharon and Tracer. And then later on it was Heather as well. Got Heather Biggs had come across.
Yeah. I've just been in touch with Heather. Dear, funny. So
So
when you reflect on what you achieved then, and you're starting to look back, what do you think?
I just think I'm really proud of what I achieved. I don't think you appreciate it whilst it's happening and whilst you're there. And then, when you look back 20 years later, when you're a bit older, you realise, crikey, I did that. And it's just a feeling of pride that I did it.
You did. It is a phenomenal achievement as well, what all those women did, from the playing locally, but also to go out on those tours, all 5 tours, to be honest, but the first 2 in particular, because it was just so unknown territory, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And do you think it helped you in sort of stead for the future of where you then eventually chose to go and in your career and life?
I think it certainly it taught you a lot of life skills whilst you were doing that, because it wasn't an easy thing you did, and when it got tough, you had to dig in deep, and obviously that you need those skills when you're later on um, at work, and especially in my line of work. I think it gave you certain life skills for later on down the line.
Yeah, definitely the resilience, isn't it, as well, about that
Yeah.
bounce back.
And it's
Yeah.
also teamwork and being a team. And one of the nicest things they're great players in that squad, and to be able to play with those players, that was just brilliant.
Yeah, pretty phenomenal athletes, weren't they, of the time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when you sort of think of the women's sport now, and obviously we've had the football, the women's Lionesses, the England football women win, and the way women's sport now is going and the way rugby league is, What's your thoughts, and what would you say to sort of someone in the future that wants to take up playing rugby league?
Oh, you've got to do it. It's you can get so much from it, and it's lovely to see now the professional clubs are taking it on. I mean, I would love to play for Featherstone Rovers when I were playing. So the fact that it's becoming more professional, it is lovely to see, and I think it's great for girls to get involved in. Because you know you've got your teammates and your skills that you learn. I just think it's a great thing.
Yeah,
And also at the moment the Masters rugby's taking off. Maybe not as much as what I'd like to see it, but I think that's a positive thing as well.
absolutely. Have you had a go?
I mean, I'm from Doncaster, so they had the Toll Bar. They've got
Yeah,
a men's masters, and my husband plays. He's 60 and he's playing and absolutely loves it. And they tried to get a women's team up, but it's getting that interest.
mm.
So it's something that I'd like to get involved in because, I mean, I finished playing when I was 27, so I've still got something in my legs, and I think I
Yeah, still got a bit going on, haven't you?
get. I think I could still do me bit. So if I could get into that, I think probably that's what I'd look to do in the future.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know I'd love it to grow, particularly from this project. You know, the fact that all the
Yeah.
lionesses are getting together, and you all even had a lioness reunion where you all played a game of Masters. That'd be fab, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Can you imagine that team? Yeah. Although I think
Yeah.
that some of them have got a few knackered knees, haven't they?
Yeah, yeah. They were suggesting, you know, when they take the knee, that some of them thought the other week at England that they probably won't get up again just from taking the knee. But it's great. Definitely. Well, I'll put that on my list to suggest to people.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, Jill. It's been lovely catching up with you again, and just thank you for the contribution that you've done to the women's game, your individual contribution, but also your contribution to the sport. Really appreciate it, and it's been lovely catching up.
Thank you very much.